everyone, welcome back to What's Good, Kimberly, and I'm here with the amazing actor, musician, creative artist extraordinary, Curt. I said Curt. Now I have to be slow when I say your last name. Clendenden. Did I say it right?
Clendenin. It's close. It's all right.
Gosh,
It's a three-syllable conundrum, and I can't blame anybody for messing it up. I can't. It's tricky. It's a mouthful.
what is your last name? Like, is it
Clendenin.
Scottish? Is it
Oh,
Irish? What's
Scotch
the
Irish.
origin? Scots Irish. Okay.
Scotch Irish. Yeah, it's
All
like it's
right.
from the Douglas clan, like Margaret Douglas from long ago. So I have like this
Really?
this ancient royalty blood in it flowing through me.
That is so interesting. I love
Yeah,
that.
I found that out from like a Scottish historian. I told her, I said, "Oh, do you know what the Douglas clan is?" Because she was huge into Scottish stuff.
Oh, I
She goes,
love
"Why,
it.
yes, I do." And I said, "Well, I'm from the Douglas clan." And so then she told me all this crazy information about it.
Are you
She's like, "Oh,
serious?
the Tudors," and I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "That
Yeah.
show, that's about your family." I'm like, "What the hell?"
That's so.
It was like this. It was this crazy eye opener. I'm like, "What?" I was
What?
never into history growing up, ever, ever. And then once you hear something like that, you're like, okay, let's figure out more about this stuff.
I'm telling
But
you,
yeah,
this
it
whole
just
ancestry 23andMe, like, if you get into it, you're like, oh my gosh, who am I?
it's so interesting. What's one of the biggest things that like explodes my brain. My brother and I had a discussion about this the other day. Is like the fact that there are all these series of events
Uh
that
huh.
had to occur in the specific domino effect way in order
Yeah.
for this conversation to be happening right now.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Just the fact that our sperm reached the egg is a huge lottery in itself. But then you go back and back and back and back. Imagine all the times that any of our ancestors could have gotten, impaled by a sword in the medieval times, or
That might
killed
have
by
been their fate.
hit by a car. Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many things that did not happen.
Yeah.
That's why we're here right now, and it's
That
like
you're
that to
here.
me. Yeah, it explodes my brain, and
It's
it's like
amazing.
when you really think about that, it's like out of all the things, out of all the diseases, out of all the viruses, out of all the crazy
Yeah.
stuff that have could have put
You made it. Your particles, like everything that made you made it. That's why when people like kind of downplay the miracle of life, and I'm like, no, it's a miracle
yeah,
because one, like, even though it seems like everybody can get pregnant, like getting pregnant, it's like sometimes it's not that easy. And like, I mean, I wouldn't know, I haven't kept kids, but from what I hear in the mommy verse, and so like the fact that generations of generations through wars, through plagues, through events of history. Like it's like Outlander. I don't know if your
no,
mom
I've never
watches
seen that show, but I've
Outlander.
seen the trailers for it. I gotta see
You
it.
probably wouldn't have seen it. It's something your mom would see.
Oh,
like
gotcha.
like women of a certain age, it's their
Oh,
twilight.
I
And
thought this was like one of those apocalyptic TV shows.
no,
No, this
it's
something
like
different.
Highlander meets romance. And so this
Oh,
woman touches a stone and she goes back in time and like she runs into her then husband's relative who looks just like him, but like, and then she falls in love with this guy named Jamie, because he's Irish or Scottish, I don't know. But the story spans like 50 years. Like then she touches the stone again and she goes back to 1950 something, and then she
oh, that
goes
is
back
great.
and she runs into someone who has a tattoo, and she's like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, 1962. And she's like, "Oh my God." And so like it's like this time travel thing, but it makes
That's
me think
cool.
about stuff like that.
Oh
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
absolutely. I mean, there are any number of things that could have gone
Any
wrong.
number. Any number.
Yeah, and like my brother and I were talking like, okay, what if our mom would have married a different dude? What if my
Yes.
dad would have married a different woman? What if
Yes.
they, what if their family decided to move to a different country or a different state, or
Mhm.
this version of us would not be existing right now
No.
had that not happened. It's
No.
like it's such a mind-blowing thing when you think about that.
It's
And
such a
it's like
mind-blowing thing.
to think that there are so many folks who are choosing to like just ignore the best version of themselves, to not
Yeah.
access their fullest potential, to just sit and complain about stuff all the time. And it's like, oh my God, the amount of time it took for you to complain about that for an hour. You could have painted something. You could have
You
written a
could have
poem.
created. You could have made a
You could have
kid and
created
made a whole
something.
lineage.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. As you guys can see, this is why Curt is so amazing to me. Curt, I met you on the set of Black Pumpkin, the
Yeah,
sequel, Bloody Bobby.
yeah,
But no, Bloody Bobby, Black Pumpkin.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's right.
within like talking to you within an hour, as you all can see, I was like, this guy has my mind wrapped in knots. Like I love I love the way your mind works. Like you're
Thank
so
you.
creative and I love the way you express your creativity. I absolutely love it. Like I was fascinated with you. I remember you told me we were talking about film, and you told me that you were in the Blues Brothers, and I was like,
Oh
oh my
yeah,
god!
that's right. That's
like
right.
like but you're also a musician, you're an editor. Like talk to me about your passion for creativity and how you express that.
Well, I think my whole life I've it started as just the rebellious nature of like going against what everybody else is doing.
I love it.
Just that was mostly
Yeah.
the main thing of like I'm just not going to do whatever they're doing. So
Yeah.
if they wanted me to show up to a wedding dressed a certain way, I dress my own certain way of doing it.
Yes.
Or prom, I dress up my own certain way of doing it. It was always like just against the grain. But then as I came to realize, like, the poem about we have two, well, it says we have two paths, right? You either choose the path that's least traveled or the one that everybody
Yes.
has traveled.
Okay. Yes.
but
Yes.
but it's not just two. There are more. You carve your own path, and that's the one that I've
Hmm.
decided. Okay, yeah, there's the nice blueprint that's already set for you. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, let's just go down this already made one.
Yep.
Or you can actually just carve your own path, and I think there's a lot of
Love
satisfaction
it.
in carving your own path, and which is
Yeah.
following your own heart. And
Yeah.
once I started realizing, like, using myself as an experiment,
Hmm.
basically using myself as an experiment inside the petri dish, and going, okay, let's just try this. Let's redefine what embarrassment means. Like, okay,
Yeah.
would I rather die on my deathbed with regrets, or have a whole bunch of memories of testing stuff out and seeing if it worked? And
Yeah.
if there's a synchronicity that occurs,
Hmm.
I'm going to go up to that person and tell them, you know what? It's crazy. I was just thinking about a girl with red hair and freckles, and you just now walked around
And
the
here
corner,
you
and here
come.
you are. I would
Yeah.
much rather say that rather than go, gosh, why didn't I just go ahead and why? What's the issue of saying something like that? What she goes, oh, you're strange, you're weird. Okay, fine. At least I know what the answer is. So what? I needed to get that out.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
it could be
once I started,
serendipitous. Yeah. You don't know. She could
yes,
go, I just had like a vision of a guy that looked like Jesus just
yes,
walking
yes,
towards me.
that's right, that's right. And so once I started finding like the joys in actually truly just following my inspiration wherever it led me, it's like, okay, what's that sound I hear? Ooh, that sounds really good, that sounds really sweet, and you know what, that really reverberates with me, that really resonates with
Yeah.
me. I'm just going to keep walking in that direction, and let's see where it leads.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to this point where my intuition has led me to so many extraordinary, it's like following the rainbow to the pot of
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah.
I've followed that spectrum of colors to the pots of gold that I can't ignore it to this point. There are so many more examples of that in my
Yeah.
reservoir of experiences that I've built up over the years, that
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep doing that. Why would I live in a practical fashion? Why would I live
Yep.
in a this sort of limited, like, limited mindset? I'm not gaining anything
When
from
you're
that. I'm not
limited, you're
gaining
not being your true self.
it, absolutely.
Yeah.
And by giving myself the gift of giving myself my true self, it's like the universe is clapping, going, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you,
I
thank you. I'm going to give you
love
even more of that.
that. It's a
It's
gift to be
beautiful.
yourself. I
Yes.
love what you just said.
Thank
I
you.
just love like you're so full of gems. It is a gift to be yourself because it's like high school when you let what everyone else says like mold you, and then when you get to college and you find you're like, forget this, nobody knows me here. I'm gonna be who I really am. I'm gonna be the comic book nerd that I am. I can be a real dummy sometimes. So what? Like when you really start exploring who you really are, that's when you make the friends that you want to actually have in your life. That's when you
Yeah.
actually find success because you're like, this is what I'm passionate about. It's like, I love that. You like when you live without the reins, it's a gift to yourself.
And it's beautiful too, because a lot of times people are trying to whittle down the statistics. They're trying to, it's funny. We hear about people who are living their lives by the odds. Well, chances are that
Yeah.
won't happen. Oh, what are the chances that'll happen? Well, you know what? What are the chances that it will happen? Who would have ever thought that
Yes.
the Cubs would have won the World Series? No one. For
Yeah.
years, people were like, "Oh, you will never win. You will never win." That to me was a huge eye opener, a
Yeah.
subconscious thing that went off in people's brains, the
Mhm.
higher mind of people's brains, where they're going, "Wait a second, this is something to pay attention to here.
Mm.
Nothing is impossible."
No.
It's funny because even when even when something is happening right in front of someone, the
Yeah.
people who live their lives by the odds and the probabilities, chances are they're not even going to see the most magical thing that's going on in front of them, because they're going,
No, they're not.
yeah, that's chances are that's not going to happen. Well, dude, guess what? It's happening right now. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Just soak it in, and this thing is happening.
It's
And
like
it's
this
like,
idea you have to live like no one else so you can live like no one else. I think Dave Ramsey said that. This like financial guy, he has an amazing financial ministry, but he talks about like, when you're going through financial hard times, which is what a lot of people are going to be facing when we get out of this. Like, yeah, if you're a businessman and you work during the day in an office and you need to get out of debt, yeah, you need to put on that hat and deliver pizzas at night so you can get out of debt and be debt free. You have to work a couple jobs and it's like, oh, no one else is doing that. Odds are I'm not going to do this. You have to live like no one else so you can live like no one else. But that's what I
yeah,
love
and what's
about you is you're so authentically and unapologetically you. And you inspired me to be like, you know what? I love film. Why am I not going for this? Like full throttle, why am I not going for this?
what's so fun is like one of the biggest things that one of the big revelations is realizing that when we become our own media, when we become
Hmm.
our own entertainment, when we,
Oh, that's
you
so
know,
good.
it's funny because no matter
Freaking
what,
smart.
no matter, like, think about this: how many bands are out there that anyone would look at? For instance, someone might look at punk rock and go, "Oh my God, how can anyone like that?" Well, guess what? There are millions of people who love punk rock that resonates with them and they like it. Had those
Yeah.
people who didn't go out on, just decide, okay, well, this is just what I'm doing. I'm not, it's even before it was a genre. This
Yeah.
is just how I'm making this music. This is just what I'm doing.
Yes.
And they weren't going, "Oh, I hope someone likes it. Oh, what are the chances that it's going to work with," they
I
weren't
love that.
thinking about that. They
I
were just
love
letting
that.
themselves be sloppy. They're letting themselves just let it all hang out. They were letting themselves be raw and just do it. There's a whole genre called noise. Okay, I don't know if you know about this. There are
No.
noise band festivals. There are festivals where people just go there. They bring their
No,
pots
what?
and pans and just go, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." And
Really?
there are crowds that show up to see this stuff. This resonates with
Really?
people. So just knowing that like, no matter what, there are those who resonate with us. But the funny thing is, it's like an oxymoron. You can't go, "Oh, I really hope they like me." That can't even be a thought in the
That
brain,
can't
because
even
it
be
takes too
like
much.
on the register.
Well, it takes way too much. It takes so much more energy to try to fit ourselves into like whatever the invisible phantoms might think about us,
Yeah.
than it does to just simply do the thing. Than it does to just simply just go forward with this thing,
You're
because
so right. That
it's
mental
so,
back and forth. Should I? What will they think?
yes,
That's that I call that a dream killer. What will they think is the question that kills dreams. Like it literally
yeah,
kills dreams. Like I
it
love
does.
watching like behind the music stuff. Like I love that kind of stuff. And when people like famous songs and people are like, well, what do you mean? I mean, I like hearing like the history behind songs, but the answer I love the most from an artist is it's not up to me to tell you what the song means.
Yeah,
It's not up
yeah,
to me to tell you what this film means. That
yeah,
should be the interpretation of the viewer. And that's
yeah.
life. It's like I'm going to do me, what I love, and it's not up to me not only to tell you what this is, but for you to tell me what it is.
And that's the crazy thing, because no matter
Yes.
how much we try to insulate ourselves, how much we try to protect ourselves and
Yeah.
safeguard ourselves from criticism, there is always going to be someone who
There's
doesn't resonate with that. There's
always.
always going to be someone who finds a crack in the armor, if we want to call it that. There's always going to
Yeah.
be someone who calls upon something that goes, "Well, you didn't talk about this. How about this? Why don't you mention that?" And it's like, well, I don't know. I didn't think of mentioning that. Maybe I just thought that was an implied thing that was within the thing that I was talking about. Maybe I
Yeah.
wasn't even considering that. I don't know. I was just busy carving my own path. And I
Yeah.
think the thing is there comes great satisfaction when you like, so I'm Sagittarius, and so the
So am
Sagittarius, they're
I.
yeah, the fellow Sagittarius, and there you go. You're
Yes.
going for it. The
Yeah.
Sagittarius is they hit the target no matter what. Why? They don't care that people are telling them, oh, there are trees in the way. Oh, there's all this stuff in the way. They don't care about that. The fact is, my arrow is going to go around the tree if there's a
Yes.
tree. My arrow will go up in the sky and fly around
Hmm.
up in there, and then maybe it lands in a bird's beak, and then the bird puts it in the target. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's going to happen. All I know is that I am going to hit that target. That's the crazy thing.
I
All I
love
know
it.
is here's this vision that I'm going towards, and it's
Uh-huh.
not a question of going through the obstacles. It's not a question of, oh, it's such a tough uphill battle, and oh, there's all this,
Yeah.
all these people that I gotta fight against and go against. No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. It's following a calling. It's going, what sounds sweet to me? What is,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds great. That's a wonderful
Yes.
dream.
Yes.
That's the genius. The genius is the person who follows through with the dream. That's all there is.
You're
That's all
so
there is
right.
to it.
Yep. Yep. You're so right. Oh, I love that. Oh, you just dropped so much knowledge.
And the fact that you
Knowledge
decided to
dropper.
become, like decided to become your own media, and if we could capitalize the M and the E in the media, that's what you've decided to become. You have become
Oh,
the media.
oh, I love that. I
Isn't
love
that
that. You
nice to
become the
know?
mean.
You are your own
I
network.
love that. Oh my God. You're your own network. That's what you should go to high schools and do talks. Like seriously, because that's what kids need to learn. Because now, I mean, not my poor nephews. These kids are smarter than we've ever been, this generation. But no generation ever before has had so many voices speaking to them. You
Oh my
know,
God.
you didn't
Yeah.
have influencers,
Yeah.
regular people telling you like on one hand it's amazing because, through YouTube and so many different you know, vehicles, we're becoming our own media, but kids, it's all about putting that in the right place of like let it be art, don't let it be your instructor. Don't let all these things tell you, you being your own media. I freaking love that, Curt.
It's so interesting. I forgot
Ah,
oh gosh, what was it that I
like your
saw?
brain, man.
I saw something yesterday and it said something like, it's, oh, it was Dispatches from Elsewhere. If you get a chance to see this TV show, Dispatches from Elsewhere, it's
Dispatches
based
from
off a
elsewhere.
documentary called The Institute. And there's a whole story behind this, but Dispatches from Elsewhere, it's on AMC. And one of the cool things
Oh,
that
I
they
love
said in
it.
their beautiful little nugget was, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. In
Hmm.
other words, in the way that I'm translating that, it's okay to be sloppy. It's okay to,
Yeah.
it's okay to um, um, let people see what's going on behind the curtain. It's okay to show that it's homemade. It's okay to
Hmm.
show the stitching that's coming out of the
Oh, I
scarf
like that.
that you're making.
Hmm.
It's okay, because
Hmm.
what that does is that inspires people to realize that okay, it inspires people to realize that everything does not have to be perfect before it comes out of the gate. A lot of times it
No.
comes out of the gates and then it starts morphing. There's always room for improvement. If we don't allow ourselves for the room of improvement, if we don't allow ourselves for the chance for it to morph into something that
Yeah.
it wants to be, it's what it wants to be. It's not what we want it
Yeah.
to be. It's what it wants to be. So we got to get out of the way of ourselves. We got to let
And that's
it
where
be
we
what it wants
learn.
to be. You know,
That's where we
that's the
learn.
beauty of that. Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
forget that's so important. You said it doesn't have to be perfect before it comes out of the gate. Like some things, like in film, like some things are like, yeah, we put that in, but that was a mistake, and it ends up being a scene that becomes a cult classic. And it's like
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
mistake we just put in the movie, but now everyone's like, that's my favorite line, that's my favorite scene. And it's like you miss if you try to be perfect, you miss the brilliance.
Oh
and
my
and it's
gosh.
really embracing what you think is a fault of yours, like, oh, I don't do this, or I don't, like, I'm not book smart. I'm not very book smart. I had a lot of learning disabilities growing up, but I'm a hell of a hard worker. And so it's like it's okay. You got to be okay with your weaknesses to find your strengths. But if you're like, no, no, let me perfect my weaknesses before I do that, you're not even gonna learn.
It's
And
been
people,
said that what goes on the inside goes on the outside. So the way that people
mm,
are talking to us is the way that they're talking to themselves inside. So imagine just how torturous that must be for these critics, for the naysayers, for them to carry that mentality
to
around with them
that kind
all
of
the time.
energy all the
They're
time.
carrying that around with them all the time. So that key to us is like, no, it's like if someone is critiquing you, it's like it's not you, Kimberly, it's them. They're critiquing themselves. They're
Hmm.
critiquing themselves because they've
Yep.
tried to safeguard themselves.
Yep.
But when you got people in your life who are going, okay, let's turn up the volume on that. Let's turn up the volume on that. You are excited about this. Okay, keep going in that direction. When I was growing up,
Yes.
I was given nothing but encouragement to I was given art supplies. I was
I was
encouraged to be
gonna
in the
say your
plays that I wanted
parents
to be
had
in.
to have been very supportive.
They didn't try to stick me in a certain direction. They just
Oh,
said,
I
okay,
love
Curt,
that.
you go. You go. You're going there. Okay, what else can we do to
Okay.
give you the fuel to go in that direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
and you don't have to
it's like,
understand it either. It's like I don't need to understand everything my kid is doing. I need to understand the energy that's coming from within them and just support that and let them figure that out. That's the way to do it. That's the way, because that's where true joy is when you let me explore. Just let me
mm-hmm.
figure it out. Just give me space to mess up. A kids need space, like you said, to be messy, to be
Yeah.
sloppy. Give me the space to do that. That's where you'll find your own genius.
Isn't it funny how like you'll see kids playing, and then as soon as an adult enters the picture, sometimes
Yes.
they all of a sudden alter their behavior because what do they associate the adult as?
Yes.
This judge who's going, don't do that, don't do
Yeah.
this. So now all of a sudden the kid has this self awareness, these eyes on them of like, okay, am
Yeah.
I building the sandcastle perfectly now? Is this
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
Rather than like let the kids be messy in there. Let
Yep.
let ourselves be messy with what we're creating. And then
Yeah.
just like with the process of making anything,
Yeah.
you can't edit yourself while you're going. You're not gonna you're It's never gonna be what it actually wants to be. You're never gonna
Yeah.
allow it to be what it wants to be. I want to call back something you said earlier about those filmmakers who were like, oh, we this was just a mistake. We didn't know this was going to
Yeah.
end up in here, but we just
Yeah.
decided to put it in there. One of David Lynch's great phrases, and I love this. He goes, "I welcome the happy accidents." He loves the happy
I
accidents.
like
So
that.
there was this story when he was making Lost Highway where they were shooting a scene with Bill Pullman, and for some reason it was jittery. It was like looking jittery and kind of ghostly. And he's like, I like that effect, but what? Like, I don't know why that keeps happening. Well, they ended up looking at the lens cap. The lens wasn't fully screwed on all the way. It had a
Oh.
jitteriness to it. So then he ended up using that effect in future films. He's
Oh,
like,
I love it.
this is great. Let's embrace this. Yeah,
I
that's the
love
effect we're
it.
going to keep using now. Every time that, oh my God, it was just beautiful.
I
So he
love
welcomes
that.
these happy accidents. He hopes that he has happy accidents.
And you got to think there had to have been a director before that made that mistake and said, "Screw that thing on tight."
Yeah.
Instead
Oh
of
yeah.
like, "Wait a minute. Let's go
Yeah.
with that." In fact, let
Oh
me
yeah.
do it again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you miss it. You miss it
And
if
it's
you
so
don't embrace it.